Friends, we are at the end of a journey here at UFD Tech, something that has been going on for about a year now. We now have the resolution to it, and I can firmly and fiercely say, screw Nintendo. They've hurt my channel, they've made it so that I am at risk of possible future harm coming to my channel, and made it so that I am now uncertain about whether or not my YouTube channel can stay up for any good length of time in case other companies decide that they want to abuse the system that YouTube clearly has in place, where they're going to side with companies on things that are very clearly not an actual issue. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, that's okay. This has been going on for about a year at this point, but it's one of the main reasons why I actually moved Hot News to its own channel, because UFD Tech is now vulnerable to the channel being taken away, which is just not a position that I want to be putting myself in. So let's go over how I, UFD Tech, very family friendly, very advertiser friendly, have been constantly dealing with YouTube community guidelines striking my channel and trying to take it down, which they actually successfully did at one point last year. So this all started when I made 2 videos on the modifications that you could make to the original Nintendo Switch because of the Tegra X1 exploit that was there. This is not something that's terribly uncommon. I wasn't hacking anything. I wasn't developing hardware modifications. It was really just a software mod that you could do. It's not really all that controversial. And you can see here I have this one video on overclocking the Nintendo Switch, and you can see here that I used to have a video on installing Android on the Nintendo Switch, which got taken down by YouTube multiple times. And it didn't get taken down multiple times because I kept re-uploading it. It got taken down multiple times because every time it got taken down, I would submit an appeal, YouTube would side with me, say, oops, yeah, sorry, that was a mistake, and then reinstate the video themselves. This was not me trying to get around the system. This was me trying to use YouTube's system in order to go through all of the correct processes in order to make sure that I wasn't risking any sort of portion of my channel for a video that really, in the grand scheme of things, isn't that important, especially since Nintendo started using new Tegras where you can't even do it on a Nintendo Switch that you buy at this point. It's a really low risk video that I wouldn't mind getting rid of if it was determined to actually violate the community guidelines, which leads us to this video that I posted June 15th of last year, where we actually lost access to posting on UFD Tech for 7 days because we received 2 false community guideline strike. The one on that Nintendo Switch video where I put Android on it, and another one for a weird link issue that was going on that wasn't actually a violation. I appealed both of those community guideline strikes, and you can see right here from this email, thank you for submitting your video appeal. After further review, we have reinstated your video. So YouTube siding with me at this point. It happened again 2 weeks later. As you can see right here, YouTube screwed over UFD Tech again, at which point I got another email which said, thank you for submitting your video appeal to YouTube. After further review, we have reinstated your video. So twice this video gets taken down. I appeal it both times, and YouTube sides with me, at which point probably a more reasonable person would have thought, hey, maybe I should take the video down to be safe. That would make sense. But I thought nothing of it. I was like, I went through the proper channels. YouTube thinks everything's fine, so I think everything's fine. But I was wrong, because we got another 3rd community guideline strike that took the video down yet again. However, when I attempted to appeal it, as you can see in this video, it says appeal approved without the option to actually appeal the video again. So long story short, video gets taken down 3 times. I can only appeal it twice. I couldn't appeal it on the 3rd time, which leads us to this point of the story, which starts yesterday. I actually accidentally discovered that UFD Tech doesn't get chapter breaks in its videos. Like, if I have timestamps at the bottom, most channels will give you chapter breaks here in this time progress bar right there, like over on our Hot News channel, where you can clearly see that based on the timestamps that are in the description, I'm able to actually have this progress bar. My UFD Tech channel doesn't have it. Even if the description is exactly the same, it doesn't actually give that to me. So I inquired to YouTube, hey, why don't I have that feature? To which they got back to me and told me it's because of that community guideline strike that's currently on your channel. We can't trust you to put in chapter breaks because you have violated the community guidelines in the past. So I, as a creator, cannot provide any sort of extra value to my audience because I violated the community guidelines in the past, which I very clearly didn't, and YouTube said I didn't twice on the exact same video. So I tried to look into, could I appeal the video again? And it turns out that if I hover over here, I do have the option to appeal the video a 3rd time, which I did because I know that I very clearly did not violate the community guidelines. And if I did, well, then YouTube has a whole bunch of other videos to take down, which are exactly the same content of showing how people put Android on the Nintendo Switch. From large creators to smaller creators, it doesn't matter. Other people made roughly the exact same video that I did. I even tried titling it differently so that it matched one of these bigger creators. As you can see here, Linus Tech Tips put Android on Nintendo Switch is amazing, and my title was exactly the same. I copied his, even though my video came out 6 months before his. I changed the title in order to hope that that somehow did anything. Turns out that it didn't. So my third appeal goes in yesterday. I asked them to reinstate the video, and now I get an email from YouTube legal support, which says, hello, your content has been removed due to one or more legal complaints that we received. We've reviewed your appeal and determined that we're unable to reinstate your content. So this basically confirms to me what I thought after the video had gotten struck the second time, that somebody at Nintendo was intentionally doing this. This wasn't YouTube getting random reports. Once it happened the second time, I was really suspicious. And then once it happened the third time, I kind of had the conspiracy theory confirmed in my mind that Nintendo had something against my channel, my video, and it needed to be taken down. And it was Nintendo who was doing the submission on the complaints. And now YouTube confirms that. So Nintendo, go screw yourself. I don't want to deal with you anymore. This is not the first time that Nintendo has been shown to be anti-creator in many regards. There are plenty of videos. If you just search Nintendo taking down YouTube videos, there are plenty of videos that go on, especially the one by Moist Critical, which talks about how Nintendo just has this history of being not only anti-creator, but also anti their fans. They don't want people making content that's not approved by them on their topics, even if I don't violate any portion of the DMCA, even if I'm not trying to sell any product that allows you to hardware modify your Switch, if I'm just showing you how to install an operating system, that is enough for Nintendo to not want my video up anymore, and they will come after me for it. I think for me, I'm just wondering, why me? Why are all of these other videos still up? I've watched my video multiple times. I've watched all of these other videos. There's not much substantially different besides just the normal creativity that goes into the videos. We kind of have the same way of just showing you, hey, you can do this. Hey, you can get Android on your Nintendo Switch. And I feel a little singled out. And I'm not sure why, but I don't necessarily want any of these other creators to be going through this legal complaint thing with Nintendo. I'm just wondering why it's happening to me. I don't want them to get community guideline strike because they shouldn't get one. I shouldn't have gotten one in the first place, but it now leaves my channel vulnerable to bad things happening. Like, I can't have chapter breaks in my videos, which is there to assist you guys, the audience, when watching my videos. I want to provide a little extra value so that you can skip around to the parts that you want to see, and YouTube decides, no, you can't do that. And if I get another false community guideline strike, my channel goes down for 7 days like it did back in June. If I get 2, then it's 2 weeks that it's down. And if I get 3, my channel gets terminated. And very clearly, even if I go through the proper channels here with YouTube, even if I go through their system and they say, hey, you're right, the system worked against you, we'll fix it. It doesn't matter. They're going to change the rules at some point, or they're going to have a new piece of information, or they're going to just kowtow to the corporations and say, sorry, Nintendo complained. So we kind of just have to give this to them, even though, you know, there are plenty of other examples of this being fine, even though there are plenty of other examples of where this really actually isn't a real problem. Screw you, UFD Tech. You're on your own here because we need Nintendo to be on our side because that's how massive corporations work. And I don't think I'm surprised. I don't think that I'm angry about this. I'm actually kind of just relieved that I got an email about the fact that this was a legal complaint. Now I'm justified in my conspiracy theories of thinking that somebody at Nintendo was actually doing this to my channel. I'm just a little tired of this entire thing. I have too much going on in my life to actually really care about Nintendo. I'm not going to make any more videos on Nintendo. They will never come up in hot news again. Screw Nintendo. You're coming after my channel for whatever damn reason. I don't really care. This is part of the reason why Hot News has moved on to another channel, so that if UFD Tech goes down, well, then my daily content actually isn't affected and I have another place to put that. So I'll leave a link in the video description in case you didn't know that we have Hot News channel. You can go watch Hot News over there. That's why it's not here on UFD Tech anymore. If you want to support us and get us away from the clutches of what YouTube is, you can support us over on Floatplane. But other than that, I'm kind of relieved that now I know it was a Nintendo legal issue. Kind of relieved that I know that YouTube is just absolutely submitting to the desires of Nintendo, and it's not that I did anything wrong. It's really just that Nintendo didn't like my video for whatever reason. And so I'll deal with that by just boycotting them personally. Being frustrated at the YouTube system, realize that UFD Tech is now vulnerable to having a whole host of new rules made up that could potentially hurt us in the future, and implore anybody who wants to be a creator, diversify. Don't have all your eggs in one basket. Don't trust YouTube. Don't trust TikTok. Don't trust Twitch. They don't have your best interests at heart. They can potentially screw you over at any moment, even for a channel that's not advertiser unsafe, even for a channel that really doesn't curse, does anything that's really outside of the norm of computer hardware. Yeah, screw me. So that's it. Catharsis. I have justification that I knew Nintendo was doing this. Screw Nintendo. I wish YouTube was better at this. In case you're looking to watch anything else by UFD Tech, you can check out the video where I gave my dad a brand new PC, surprising him because his editing PC wasn't very good. Or you can check out this other video where I gave a dad a graphics card for his son. Really controversial stuff, my friends. I'm putting UFD Tech on the line by making content that is just trying to make people happy and showing them how they can enjoy their technology. Screw me, but right?